Hello everybody, today I can perform operations with complex numbers using I squared equals -1. Now this lesson is going to be very similar to what we did the first day of school, with the exception of using this I squared equals -1. So I'm going to show you where it comes from. Last lesson we learned that I was equal to the square root of -1. So if I square both sides, the square and the radical cancel, and I get I squared equals -1. So that's where it comes from, but basically all you need to know is that I squared equals -1. There's something else that may come up, I cubed may come up. So I cubed is I squared times I to the first. Well, we just said that I squared was -1, and -1 times I is -I. So this may come up a tiny bit. I cubed is equal to -I, but the main thing, I squared is going to be equal to -1. Let's take a look at our first example. 5 minus 2y times 2 minus 3i. Well, going back to the first day of school, if I want to multiply binomials, I do my box. So I have 5 minus 2i. I have 2 minus 3i. I multiply each thing to determine what goes inside the box. That's 6i squared. I combine like terms. I get 10 minus 19i plus 6i squared. So that's exactly what we did on day one. There's nothing new so far, but now when I see I squared, I know that I squared is equal to -1. So I'm going to replace the I squared with -1. When I do that, I'm basically just multiplying that value by -1. And when I multiply something by -1, the sign changes. So +6 times -1 is -6. I now have to recombine like terms. 10 minus 6 is 4, minus 19i. And you always want to write your real number first and your I last when you're writing complex numbers. And that's your answer. Now, I want to show you something on the calculator. You obviously wouldn't get full credit for doing something like this, but you can type this problem into the calculator and get an answer. So I is second decimal point at the bottom. So 5 minus 2i times 2 minus 3i. Again, to type the I in, it's second decimal point. And you see, it gives me the answer. So yes, that's a great way to check it, but you're not going to get full credit if you just show me the answer without any work. However, if it's a multiple choice question, you're good to go. All right, number 2. To multiply binomials, regardless of whether or not there are i's, I use my box method. -2 plus 2i, 8 minus I. -16 plus 16i plus 2i minus 2i squared. Combine like terms. -16 plus 18i minus 2i squared. So that's box method. That's what we did on day one. Now, I'm going to replace the I squared with -1 because I squared is equal to -1. When I multiply something by -1, the sign changes. So that -2 becomes +2. I recombine like terms. Always put your real number first, your I last. That's your answer. If you want to check it, you can go to your calculator. -2 plus 2, again to type I in, second decimal point, times 8 minus second decimal point, and you see you get -14 plus 18i. I want you to try number 3 on your own. If you can pause it. Again, pause it. Try number 3 on your own. When you're done, unpause it. Okay, now that you had an opportunity to try number 3 on your own, let's go over it together. When I'm multiplying, 7 minus 2i, 8 plus 3i, I do the box. 8 and 7 is 56, 8 and negative 2i is negative 16i, 7 and 3i is 21i, 3i and negative 2i is negative 6i squared. I combine like terms, 56 plus 5i minus 6i squared. Now I know that I squared is equivalent to negative 1. So I'm replacing the I squared with negative 1. And when I multiply something by negative 1, essentially the sign just changes. I recombine like terms. That's my answer. I can use the calculator to check it. I'm good. So let's just see what else is on here and worth going over. That looks kind of nasty. That I can do. Yeah, I think I'm going to go over number 8. And I think that's all I'm going to go over. So number 8, it's asking you to do 2 minus yi squared. So we learned again, beginning of the year, when you're squaring a binomial, squared means times itself. So we're doing 2 minus yi times 2 minus yi. And in order to do that, I'm doing my box. So 4 minus 2yi minus 2yi plus y squared, I squared. Be careful there. Y and y is y squared. I and I is I squared. I combine like terms. And then I'm going to replace the I squared with a negative 1. You always have to replace I squared with negative 1. When I multiply by negative 1, the sign just changes. Now, normally I would recombine like terms, but since there's variables here, there's nothing I can recombine. So which one is equivalent to that answer? Choice 2. That's it. I mean, number 8 looks kind of nasty, but you're basically just doing a box for this, doing a box for this, and then you're going to distribute the negative and combine like terms from there. 9 is the same type of thing. 10, you're going to have to do a box for this, a box for this. You can combine like terms from there. Keep in mind that if it's multiple choice, you could just type it in and get your answer. And that's pretty much it. So again, to perform operations with complex numbers, I'm going to do the same thing I've been doing all year. I'm just going to replace my I squared with negative 1. If you ever end up with an I cubed, that becomes negative I. Should I go over one of those quick? I guess we can go over this one right now. Let's go over number 11, and then after that, I'll let you off on your own. So to get rid of the parentheses, I would distribute. That would give me 2xi squared minus 8xi cubed. Now, we said that I squared is negative 1, so I replace the I squared with negative 1. And we said I cubed is negative I, so I'm replacing the I cubed with negative I. This becomes negative 2x. This becomes positive 8xi, because a negative and a negative is a positive. And that's my answer. Your classwork/homework is to finish operations with complex numbers. Any questions, as always, ask me, and have a great day.